Good evening and salutations, my BNB fans. Paris, this girl is so flaky. It gets to a point where it's like, how do you get dressed in the morning? So she's in her office. Carter comes in and she's like, listen, we gotta sit there and talk. And she's like, about what? So Carter's like, we gotta talk about the kiss. And Paris is like, what? What is it's New Year's Eve? I mean, I'm like, so is this chick really just gonna sit there and keep sidestepping the question and just joke it off like it's just something funny? Oh, it's New Year's Eve. You never had a New Year's Eve kiss? When I first started watching this show, it reminds me of when I first started watching Days. And I started watching Days, and it's this character named Chloe Lane. And I was like, oh my goodness, this woman, she's hot, she can sing. And this idiot loser Philip messed it up with her. That was when I first started watching it. And now I look at that version of myself like, bro, you had no idea what the hell you were talking about. I'm watching this show, and when I first started watching and I saw Zoe, and I was like, Zoe, you are a piece of dog poo. Why any man would want to be with you is beyond me. Your sister is 1,000 times better than her. It's still true, but I was in the assumption, I was like, man, this chick is hot. And she's nice, and she's down to earth, and she can sing. You know what? I can understand why some of these people are talking about her so much. And then after a while, it's like, okay, this is starting to get kind of annoying. And now I'm looking at that first version of myself like, you had no idea what the hell you're talking about. Because this woman is so flaky. She kissed a man, and this wasn't like she was drunk. Okay? And yes, somebody brought up the fact that, when she turned down Thomas, she was like, oh, I do have a boyfriend. And now when she was with him, it was like, oh, well, we're single. You're single. And then she kisses this man because she's like, oh, I'm so confused. You're so confused that you just walked into another man's lips because you were so confused. And you know what really bothered me about this scene? Is that they didn't even address it. All she said was, I'd like to thank you for giving me that heads up because I wasn't ready for a committed relationship. Ready for a relationship. You know what? I don't want to give her the excuse of she was young and she was very naive, because I've seen people younger than her. I've seen people young around her age make better decisions than people around my age. So I can't even give her the excuse of, oh, she was just young and dumb and naive. No, she was just an idiot. A moron. I don't understand how, okay, you don't want to be with this guy, marriage. So what do you decide to do? You're so confused that you kissed somebody else? And that's all she practically talked about. They didn't get into the heart of the matter of why they did what they did. Shouldn't you sit there and tell Zende? What are you going to sit there and do about the Zende situation? No, we just skipped right on past that. Like, that just was, I guess we'll set it at another 3 days. Things like that bother me. It really bothers me. I remember I saw somebody online and they were talking about, how the show became so away from the stuff that she liked about fashion and stuff, and I'm just like, I didn't want to say anything to her because I was like, well, she'll probably, hopefully want to be into a future subscriber of mine, but I was like, that's not the problem with this show, is that they're not focusing on fashion. Okay? I'm not super hardcore into fashion, but I do like some good dresses, and if it looks nice or whatever, I like some good men's fashion. Okay? Really like some good men's fashion, and I was saying today how much I really love the fire jacket that Johnny DiMera had on in Days of Our Lives. Oh my goodness. So, I'm not opposed to fashion in this show, but that's not the problem, and she was talking about that being one of the problems. I was like, moments like this, where they just skip past it, like, what are we going to do? I don't even remember if they actually talked about what they were going to do, because it seemed like it was just so much of a flaky concept by a very flaky-ass woman. So Deacon wakes up next, well, Brooke wakes up next to Deacon, and Deacon is like, well, nothing ever happened, and I slept on top of the bed. Because Ridge is going to really care if you slept on top of the covers, as opposed to being in the covers. And she's freaking out, and, at first Deacon's like, nothing happened, and she remembers, oh, something did happen. And she wakes up with that pounding headache of good old sweet hangover, how, I really hate hangovers, but, that's the consequences of you drinking. Anyway, she is freaking out. She's like, oh my goodness, what's going to happen? What am I going to do? Reg is going to find out. I can't let this happen. And then she's all like, you have to leave. You have to leave. You're a constant reminder of everything that I just did. This, that, and the third. Yada, yada, yada. Mind you, it takes two to tango. And, at first she was blaming him like, well, why didn't you stop me? He's not your babysitter, one. And two, hell, you were encouraging it. You were encouraging him to drink. And of course she remembered that, but yet she sat there and kicked him out and said he can never come back. Now, does that mean he can never come back to that part of the house? Or just the whole compound in general? Because that's the question. So, Ridge is on the plane. You hear the car. And, she's like, yo, you gotta go, like, now. You gotta help me clean up. Okay, Brooke. So, he leaves, Ridge comes in there, and he's talking about his time there, and, she's like, you can never go away for the holidays again. And then he was looking at her, her outfit, he was like, yo, you're looking kind of good, how about I get into the shower and we can pretty much play mattress tag. So she's, down for it. Or at least that's what she says. She's down for it. And of course she's feeling all sorts of guilty. Now, I was watching the previews and I was thinking, so at what point do you think it's going to be a good idea for you to say what you did and move on and move forward if you can? No, not in this episode? Okay, cool. So that happens. Deacon goes to work, to get some drinks or whatever. He tests this non-alcoholic drink and Sheila sees it. And they talk for a little bit. And she's asking, what's going on? What did y'all do? Yada, yada, yada. What did you do during New Year's Eve? Did you have a good time with Brooke? Did she let her hair down? And then he leaves because he's like, yo, I can't even be seen with you. And of course Sheila's like, well, you're only saying that because Brooke, tells you what to do, but she doesn't tell me what to do. And this is a public place. It was like, you're missing the point, Sheila, but okay, sure, fine. So he leaves, and now Sheila, in her detective skills, is all like, I see you tested that alcohol. Something must have happened between you and Brooke. You got all that from him testing the drink? You got all that from him testing the drink. You surmised that somehow something happened between those two because you tested the drink. Sheila, you know, if you weren't in a soap opera, you would make a great DC villain. Okay? You'll make a great DC villain. I mean, you already monologue like one. You make a great DC villain. So, props to you, Sheila. You, maybe, you know what? I'm done with the cheesy jokes. My point is that she's gloating. She's happy that something apparently happened bad to Brooke, and it couldn't happen to a, you know, couldn't happen to anyone else except for Brooke. Yeah, I'm going to be honest. Before I go, some people, not in my comment section, but I was going on Instagram, and some people were really going hard at Brooke, calling her, you know, I have to tell you, I don't even feel comfortable saying some of the names that some of these people are saying. And the thing is, yeah, I don't know Brooke's history. I know about this incident. And in this incident, she didn't do it because she wanted to. She did it because she was drunk. Okay? And, you know, she didn't even know that she was drinking. So I know people could sit there and probably call her a bunch of names and be like, well, you did this and you invited him into your life and this is the result of it and yada, yada, yada and X, Y, and Z and all that good stuff. But let's be honest. She didn't purposely try to cheat on him, at least in this case. It was because she was drunk. Paris, on the other hand, was not drunk, and she was confused. So confused that her head and her lips just wobbled right on into Carter's face. But people were going hard, and they were saying some things. I even actually had to sit there and say something to one of them, because I was like, wow, bro, do you kiss your mother with those lips? And, of course, you know, I don't know if this was a guy or girl, but this, you know, this person was like, well, they're a fictional character, and I can say whatever I want, because this person did this and that, and they have a history of yada, 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 and I'm like, bro, or sweetheart, I get it. I'm not saying that she's the perfect person, but even for people who I don't like, there's certain things that I'm just like, you, like, and it was the T word that I'm not going to say. Like that cartoon, Lady and the... So, I was just like, and granted, I'm not a white knight, I don't sit there and be like, you know, I'm a feminist or anything like that, but there's certain things where it's like, bro, or sweetheart, really? You know? Like, certain things I just feel like, even for a fictional character, people just tend to go a little bit too far. And then you sit there and wonder, what made you so bitter in life that you're talking that disgusting about another person, fiction or otherwise? The problem with online, and granted, I get it, because I've said some stuff that I regretted in the past. And I get it, it's, you know, and this person didn't even have a picture, so you know they just running rampant saying all sorts of things. But apparently, I guess when you say things online, it's okay because it's online and you can get away with it because you never have to see that person. But it just says a lot about someone when, and even me, you know, even me, it says a lot about someone when you just are able to talk that reckless about someone that is real or otherwise just because, you know. I get that people have opinions, but some people really take it a little bit too far. That being said, I think that's about it. If I forget anything, please write down in the comment section below. I want to thank you for watching. Be safe, and I will see you in the next video.